When Alana Hewson and Katie Cadleb showed up at the June 28th City Council meeting, they expected to share Visit Hood River's strategic plan to bring more tourists to Hood River. After all, that was the point of the contract they had, funded by the Tourism Promotion Fund. And it was just 2 weeks earlier that city councilors had unanimously approved the city's budget, which included the Tourist Promotion Fund. That fund receives 25% of all city lodging taxes and requires that all those funds be used to promote tourism. No one had talked about tourism or its problems or spending more of the funds elsewhere, but on Monday night, a few councilors decided that promoting tourism wasn't such a good idea.
I'm wondering what money is being spent to increase the quality of life for residents.
Is there an opportunity to somehow transfer the benefits of tourism to a more local?
The contract, as I recall it, is that the transient room tax, the 25% that we have been giving to the Chamber and or Visit Hood River, basically just require it to be spent within the legal limits that is in the statute. There was nothing explicitly saying that the goal is to continuously increase visitation, to continuously increase DRT in an ongoing cycle. That would not be my goal for that money, given the amount of tourism we have now and the impacts it has.
Ms. Sanders moved to approve Lodging Tax Ordinance 2055 last August, with the provision confirming the 25% spending requirement on tourism promotion. It specifically says that, quote, all monies paid to this account shall be used for the promotion of tourism, end quote. More homework would also have reminded councilors that the state of Oregon restricts what lodging taxes can be used for. Hood River doesn't have a choice. As long as it collects lodging taxes, 25% must be spent to promote tourism. Alana reminded councilors that Visit Hood Rivers did what the contract said to do.
Yes, what you're seeing before you is primarily focusing on what the contract with Visit Hood River stipulates from the city of Hood River. So the 25% of the transient lodging tax that is invested in this contract was designed to drive visitation to continue to fund the transient lodging tax investment in the community.
The state's 2003 bill on how lodging taxes are used locked in the percentages already being spent on tourism then, which in Hood River was 25%. If the city wants to scrap its current tax rates and start over, then the amount of those taxes for tourism promotion would jump to 70%. And the state has rules that says using those funds to create local amenities or build local roads doesn't qualify. Visit Hood River's successful work bringing in tourists means that lodging taxes are now the city's second largest revenue source, with most of the funds going to public safety, again, based on councilor decisions and approvals of the budget. If Sanders and Cunahan want to alleviate the pain of tourism for locals, they need to go back to the budget drawing board and take those funds from somewhere else. Is it time for a budget redo? Unfortunately, the Visit Hood River team learned what the police facilities team experienced and what an unsuspecting ODOT engineer has encountered as well. A barrage of questions directed toward people who either acted based on prior direction given or were bound by a contract already signed by the city. Councilor Rivera had different concerns.
How are we telling the story of Hood River? We have such rich history here, from our Native Americans to Lilo Falls, Minoru Yasui, Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta going through these orchards for our farm workers. What are the other languages that are being intended? Because I only see English here, and I only see this being tailored to a rich white crowd. But please add more diversity in what's being marketed right now, because I only see a bunch of white people in kayaks. I'm out on a kayak too.
Ms. Rivera's point about targeting Hispanic travelers is valid, and it's one that Visit Hood River can and should take on, assuming that the council intends to keep the lodging tax. Hispanic travelers have money to spend, and in the past, the city has sought as much of that money as it can get. However, simply highlighting the city's multicultural history isn't likely to comply with the state's rules defining promoting tourism. Tourists need something to see and do when they arrive. Working on an event to highlight Latino Conservation Week for 2022 would be a good example of something that could be very positive. Counselors found it easy to score points by attacking tourism, but now have some hard choices to make. Sounds like a budget makeover is in order. Work for the City Council, not Visit Hood River. Some suggestions? Counselors could reduce or eliminate city lodging taxes altogether to remove the funding for tourism. Of course, they'd also lose over $1 million in lodging tax revenue. They could reallocate the $1 million plus in funds that now help fund public safety and apply that money to alleviating the impact of tourism on the city. This will also need a council vote on a budget change and some legal review. Work with educators, historians, and others to create qualifying tourist facilities to share all that rich multicultural history. Buildings, exhibits, words alone don't qualify for the money. And consider that business owners may also be community partners. They create jobs directly and indirectly. And finally, while it's the role of the council to ask questions about contracts and plans that come before the city, wouldn't it make more sense and be a more efficient use of everyone's time and energy to do some homework before the meetings? Check out the city's ordinances. See what the state rules are. Read the original contracts. Start with the facts instead of broad brush statements that make good sound bites and get a few paragraphs in the local press. Provide direction and clarity on the goals before the work.